Hello, friends. Today I just wanted to talk about my Chippewa Service Boots. Not a ton has changed with them since I first reviewed them, but I do think when I first reviewed them, it was more about Chippewa and about kind of my own relationship with the brand. But I just wanted to do one where I'm kind of just really, talking about these boots a little bit and just appreciating them. I think on a personal level, a great thing about this channel is I get to appreciate what I have. I often think if you're browsing or scrolling online and you see a pair of boots that you really want, but you already own a few pairs. Like, what? How would you feel if you were browsing and you saw your own pair online? Wouldn't you want those? And then what do you know? You have them. So there's something about the online dynamic of looking at things that you don't have, but you can't be scrolling and seeing your stuff. Imagine a thing where you scroll, but it's all your life being reflected back at you. How much you'd appreciate that. So, there's something about this channel of just picking up a pair of boots that I own, that I've owned for a while, that maybe I take for granted, and just talking about it. Thinking about them out loud and helping me appreciate them. That's cool. That's very special. So anyway, this is Chippewa's classic service boot. Um, you know, it's almost unfortunate that the Heritage line, I mean, it's certainly unfortunate that they closed up shop, that they no longer exist. But they also, they had so many interesting successes, but I think because I don't really know, I can't really diagnose why the brand failed. Ultimately, it's very hard to make boots in the USA. It's expensive and they don't care about the whatever small margins they were making. All that to say, Red Wing's Heritage line is just so dialed in. We all know pretty much the leathers that they use. Sometimes they'll bring out a new one, but it's usually based on a current leather. There's a system. Everything's very familiar. With Chippewa, they're kind of throwing stuff at the wall. So for a while, they had these beautiful Chippewa branded outsoles. And this is a cord, it's got some cork in there. It's a grow cord or whatever, essentially. Half sole. And how unique is it to have like a Vibram branded Chippewa branded Vibram outsole? There's no Red Wing branded Vibram outsole. Now maybe Vibram makes Red Wings outsoles. I don't know, but very very unique, very special. You kind of only see this in much more expensive boots. Visvim will have their own like branded or own unique Vibram outsole. But Chippewa's always used Vibram, so I think they had a unique relationship, and this was one way of kind of honoring that relationship. But my God, I mean, how special and unique is this? You got the kind of their Indian head logo, Chippewa Indian logo, and just a very very unique. This is a very unique outsole. I barely appreciate it, but a couple of breaks in the tread, different kinds of tread too. Look at this up front, and then up back, it becomes more like of a pebble, and that's more like twigs with a break in it. An original Chippewa USA Vibram oil resisting. Very unique, very special. So instead of going to this, oh, there's no leather heel stack or whatever, it's like, yeah, but look what it does have. And you can see their rubber midsole, which again, Chippewa always made stuff in a slightly cheaper manner. But they always had a leather welt. They always had Vibram outsoles. They always had very nice leather uppers. Clicking wasn't always great, but in this case, these are just my favorite kind of leather, closely related to, maybe it is even Briar oil slick leather from SB Foot, Red Wings SB Foot. It's essentially just a chocolatey brown, oiled, just thick, pebbled, full grain cowhide. And you could just see that I haven't conditioned these in so long, but it's just so chock full of oils, and it's both robust but still malleable and comfortable. 360 flat welt, Goodyear welt. You know, yeah, I still wear these boots quite a bit. But I love them. I can't bring myself to get rid of them. I think I bought these for like $100 on Amazon, and some Amazon distributor. I think it was what's that? They almost have a funny name. I forget the name of that brand. They have like if they sell work boots and stuff. Like Chewbacca. That's what it is. I think it was through them. It's like their Amazon page. Anyway, I switched out the leather laces, but all eyelets, beautiful rolled edge. The kind of newer Chippewa logo, which I enjoyed their Indian head, but this is also there's something classic to this as well. Very very simple backstay. But it's important to remember, like a boot like this made by John Lofgren in Japan would go for, $1,000, and they're really mimicking this that in a way is a lot closer to the source. I've always loved, pardon me here, I've always loved Chippewa's logos. They always nailed their just their branding, their tags, not always, but oftentimes. I mean, look at that. Absolutely stunning. Feels like a tag you'd find on a vintage boot or jacket from, 100 years ago. So, beautiful kind of burgundy highlights, but really just, kind of nails the classic throw it on and do whatever service boot, thing. They really achieved it. Puritan stitch, just, perfect proportions, great kind of, inoffensive last. You could argue boring last. I really like it. It's not too bulbous, but it's certainly not kind of sleek. There's an epidemic right now of everyone just getting these like really sleek dress boot lasts on like super rugged boots, which again, you need some of that. So like Grant Stone came along and did that. Parkhurst came and did that. It's like, great, that's awesome. But now you see other, like lots of brands are just like making these sleek lasts. And I'm like, who are these for? I just don't like it. It's not my thing. I like a round bulbous last. Now that being said, things did get a little too round, a little too bulbous. So I understand balancing the two, but my God, I don't need any more. Like, here's our kind of dress inspired last. Like, no, thank you. No fucking thank you. But anyway, yeah, there's something about Chippewas. And again, I've said this before in my other Chippewa videos of like, if you want a great deal on a boot, keep an eye out. You vintage, used dead stock Chippewas often pop up for pretty cheap. You know, there's a pair, I don't think it's in my size, but there's a pair of the LL Bean collaboration boot, the Katahdin boot, they called it. It's basically this boot with a cap toe. But really, really nice, really nice specs, beautiful, kind of very thick, crazy horse oiled nubuck leather. Very nice boot for like $100, $150 or something. Great deal, great deal. If you want a boot that'll last you 10 years, you'll get it resold. And heck, like these, I'll really miss this when I finally do wear through them. But, imagine these with like, Dr. Soul or just another Vibram and with a leather heel stack, like, or a small, just one piece of leather. Like, it'll really elevate them and kind of bring them into, be able to compete a little bit more with some of my nicer boots, my higher end boots, because this upper isn't going anywhere. I mean, like the worst case, I mean, we're chipping here. That's what Chippewas do. They chip, just the way they're pulled over their Scholastic toe box. I'm sure they were machine lasted. There's always like, you always get just a little bit of that, especially if you're wearing them a lot and kicking them around. But nothing to be afraid of. It's just purely aesthetic, shoddy stitching, whatever. But just great, great semi-gusseted tongue. And again, to me, the star of this is the leather, the proportions, the general vibe they give off, and the outsole. It wouldn't be the midsole. I actually don't love a 360 welt, but that's just personal. But yeah, just something super fun about these boots. And it's good to appreciate what you have, and that's what we're doing here today. So, I suggest you do the same. You don't have to do boot videos, but just pick up your boots and admire them, even if it's just a Thursday boot, but admire how beautiful they are, really appreciate the things that you have. That's the goal. If there was a goal for this video, it's just appreciate things that you do have, and stop only thinking about what you don't, because there's always going to be stuff that you don't, no matter how much you have or how many boots you buy. There's always going to be a really cool and nice boot and maybe even like a super artistic boot maker that you don't have old speed manufacturing, old speed MFG. Like I am lusting after those boots. And that's an incredible deal for like a handmade boot in the USA by one single bootmaker for like $550. That's an incredible deal, but it's still 500. It's still half of $1,000. It's still a lot of money, and I don't need another boot. So if I figure out how I could sell, two, three, or four pairs of boots off, maybe I will buy one of those because I do love those, but I don't need them. So it's one of those that's like I really want to support him. I really want to own one of those boots. They're gorgeous. He's got like an oak rough out from Wicked and Craig and a chamois from Horween, like stunning. But I don't need them, So it's a struggle, But I have the like. By the way, these are the. I could only have these boots and I would be fine. That's really the crazy thing of all this whole thing. And that's what got me into Chippewas in the first place. Chippewa was my first high-end nice boot, Goodyear welted, Vibram outsole, really nice leather. And this is before Rose Anvil, before I knew anything. I just knew I don't even know how I knew, but I knew, started to like read up on stuff. And it's like, okay, Goodyear welted is important. Vibram outsoles are cool. And I found Chippewa at Sierra for like $100, give or take. And that was my first ever boot, Chippewa Service Boot. I really wanted one with a Vibram Montagna sole. And I've upgraded since then, but I didn't have to, So appreciate these boots, appreciate the boots they have. All the best. Have a great day.